Hey there, yogis. Today we have a short practice working toward either the half split or the split, depending on where you are in your practice. I will be working on the half split, which is where the back knee is still on the mat. And if you are working on the full splits, I will give the indications for how you work on that. If you practiced with me before, you know that I like to work on active stretches. So there is a way you can do the splits where you're kind of like hanging out, and today we're going to be doing a more active version that's going to protect your joints. It can happen that you injure yourself in the attempting the splits, so to speak. It's usually the hamstring muscle if you are going to injure something, but the only way you can do this actually is if you push yourself past the point where it's comfortable. So of course you're not going to do that. You're going to be sensible and you're going to listen to your body when it says enough. The way I always think about working on the splits is you never have like this grand finale, final exam. You know, you can always work on it tomorrow. You can always give it another try. So that the worst thing you can do is like, I have to do it now. But so we're going to start with a strap. Actually standing, you can have a block nearby for a little bit later. So those are our tools, a strap and a block. And we're actually going to start standing. So you're going to stand on the left foot and bring the strap over the right foot. So what is an active stretch? It's when the muscles have to work. Passive stretches when you can just hang out. So here, the left leg is obviously active because you're standing on it. If it were not active, you would fall over. So the left leg we already know is active. Right leg, if it's passive, it's going to be bent. Here is very soft. If it's active, we're kicking the leg. So that's what we're doing here and later on in the splits as well. Front of the leg is active. So you can see here, if the knee is bent, it's a little bit soft. If you straighten the leg, the quadricep should start to engage. And actually, if you really pull the quadricep, you see the knee bone will slide up a little bit. So your toes are pointing toward the ceiling, and you're going to lift the foot. What you're going to watch out for is how your body moves as you lift the foot. So if you start to lean back, right, then we've gone past the safe range of motion. So you should be able to keep your back straight and also the bottom knee. So if we need to bend the bottom knee, that also means the lower back is rounding. So everything is going to stay straight. Standing leg, the kicking leg, and your back. You can also lift one arm as I have done, and that will help you lift here in the pose. So holding. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Exhale, lower. We'll just move the strap to the side. I have my feet about as wide as my hips. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, be soft. Fold forward, bend the knees. Bring your fingertips in front of you to shake out the head. You might feel now that the lower back is releasing a little bit, right? If the core muscles are not as strong as they need to be, it might have contracted a bit too much. So you can just let it go, wiggle the hips. This is also how we build strength, doing these active poses. And then reach for the strap, will do the other side. So you're going to bring the strap around the other foot. Everything straight, shoulders over the hips, lift the leg. Notice if you're tempted to lean back or buckle the knee, reach the arm up so everything stays really straight, long, strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Exhale, lower. Again, strap to the side, feet as wide as your hips. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward. And you can still keep it relatively soft. We're still warming up. Wiggle the hips side to side. You can shake out the legs. Step back into a downward facing dog. Hands to the floor. Step the feet back. Spread the fingers. Keep the knees bent to begin and really pull your hips back. So here you see the more I press into the hands, the more I can pull the hips toward the ceiling. Because we are working on the hamstrings, you might want to start to work to straighten the legs, but if you feel the lower back rounding, then maybe keep the knees bent. So 5 deep breaths. We'll bring the right foot forward. So you can inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, knee to the chest. Step forward, right foot down. So the low lunge, knee to the floor. The two major muscles we're looking for in the splits is the front leg hamstring is stretching, and also the back hip quadricep here. So you're going to feel the hips, right? So you can slide actually pretty low. So we've already given a little warm up to the hamstring. We're going to find now the quadricep. And the most effective stretch you can do is when the lower back is a bit straighter. So if I arch the back a lot here, I actually don't feel the stretch much if I use the abdominal muscles. So if the abdominal muscles pull in toward the spine, and then keep my pelvis in this position where it's more neutral, vertical with the floor, then when I sink forward, I feel it a lot more in the front. So you can rest the hands on the knees or reach the arms up. 5 deep breaths. And pull the hips back. We're going to bring the front foot forward. So this is actually what our half split looks like, but we're not leaning forward yet. We're going to keep the right foot flexed and just exhale, twist. So my left hand comes forward toward the right foot, right hand pulls back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll just switch sides. So you can bring the hands to the mat, step the right foot back. Inhale the left leg up, 3-legged dog. Exhale, step the left foot forward, right knee to the mat. So coming up a little bit further back than you normally would, and just find the pelvis here. So the lower back normally arches automatically when we bring the foot forward. So just pull the belly muscles back. You feel that the pelvic bowl, right, is finding this neutral position again, and then slide the hips forward, and you feel a stretch in the right thigh. Inhale, arms up. 5 deep breaths. And then you can pull your hip back so it's exactly over the knee. Maybe step the left foot forward a little bit. And here the hips stay straight. So you'll notice as you twist, now I have the left foot forward, right arm forward, and you want to notice what happens with the hip. So if it kicks out to the side, you want to pull it back in. Reach. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. And then we'll just stretch the toes. So we'll keep the toes tucked under. Lower the knees to the floor. And now walk the hands back. So gentler version of this stretch, we have all 10 toes tucked under. If I have my hands on the floor, we already feel the stretch in the big toe. If you bring your hands to the thigh, a little bit stronger stretch. And if I start to lean back so my shoulders are if your back is straight, shoulders over the hips, it will be a strong stretch in the big toe. So hold about 10 deep breaths, which can already feel quite strong. So pick something that's reasonable for you. If you're leaning forward, if it's really strong. You have the hands on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just lean forward, shake out the feet, circle the ankles. And then flip around onto your back. So we'll slide to the center of the mat. Keep your left foot on the floor to begin and bring the right foot into the strap. So same idea here as when standing. We have the legs like really straight. If you're here, no fault in that, right? We want to keep the leg as straight as possible. Moving the foot toward the ceiling. It is another option to straighten the leg here, but you want to pay attention to the lower back. So if your back pulled a lot in this pose, that won't feel good. You want to keep the hips, again, right? The same idea as with the lunge, that the hips can stay in a neutral position, and actually the core muscles work a little bit. So even though we're stretching the leg, the core muscles are pulling down. You should here, you feel the difference if you pull up, then the muscles are contracting. So if you can still keep them contracted and stretch the leg, then it's usually okay to do this. If you feel like you come up here and then you get stuck, it's a good sign to keep the left foot on the floor. So you had many options, find the right one. Sometimes the gentler one is the wiser choice. A few more deep breaths. And then switch, so you can just shake out the leg. Come straight to the other side. Left foot up into the strap. So again, just noticing what the lower back is doing. Left foot is kicking out, the toes are flexed toward your face, pulling the leg up. So if you're in the stronger version of this pose, the right leg should be pushing down. The knee is floating up, try to really kick down, so everything is strong. The same way we did this standing, right? It's the same idea. You're pushing down with one foot, kicking up with the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to lower the leg, can shake it out, and then we'll come back to a down dog. So just roll to the side, come back up to a down dog. And now inhale the right foot up. So we're coming back to the low lunge. And this time just playing around with our block. So we're going to bring the block under the front foot. And just notice how that changes the position of the hips and the pelvis. So it can be a different stretch actually with the front foot lifted. So we're going to find again that position where the abdominal muscles are engaged, and then sinking maybe a little bit more forward and just feeling the difference with the stretch. So we want to feel it in the quadricep, a little bit, the hip flexor. Reach up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now exhale down. So same exercise. Bring the right foot forward. Foot is flexed. Hip is going to stay straight. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, twist. Left arm forward, right arm back. Exhale, hands to the floor. Switching side, right foot back. Stretch the arms and legs. So we're moving through a simple practice. I find with the more advanced stretches, simple is really better. So you're bringing the leg up and forward. And now bringing the left foot onto the block. Adjust the back knee. So everything we do in this practice to warm up for the splits is just front to back, and a little bit of abdominal work, right? So we feel, even in a stretch, right, everything is coming from the core. Core is really powering our body. Not just in the poses we think as being as very strong, like a push-up, or something like that. Even in the splits, the core muscles should be working. So a few more deep breaths, finding that stretch in the hip flexor, the quadricep. And then fold forward, just adjust your front foot or your back knee so you can straighten the leg. Inhale the arm up. And exhale, twist right arm forward, left arm back. 5 deep breaths. And again, switch. Hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. I'm just going to leave the block there. Inhale the right leg up again. Exhale, right foot forward. And now we're going to slide the block under the back knee. So again, just to notice how this changes the stretch. So now my hip is really going to come ahead of the back knee. Maybe I stay here. Maybe I catch the back foot. And if I catch the foot, I just want to notice that the hips don't twist. I'm exaggerating a bit, but you really want to keep the hips straight forward. So now we're getting into the deeper stretches. We'll hold a little bit longer. Few more deep breaths. And then we'll let go of the back foot, come up the pyramid pose. So just hop the back foot in. You might want to bring the block forward so that the hips stay straight. You have your back foot angled almost forward. A little space between the feet. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, I'm going to swing the arms back so I know I'm using my core muscles, rolling my shoulders back. If you need support, you can always bring your hand onto a block or two. And feel here, if there's any roundness, we want to lengthen the front body. Roll the shoulders back to the ceiling. And then again, switch. So I'm already going to bring the block there. Just step back, downward facing dog. Already feeling a bit of a difference side to side from the deeper stretches. Inhale, bring the left leg up. Exhale, step forward. So now bringing the right knee onto the block, just adjusting the front foot. Ankle under the knee is the common rule. It doesn't have to be perfectly so. So maybe letting the hips drop, maybe catching, where is it, back foot. Great. And just watching here, right? We don't want to pitch forward too much actually with the chest. We actually want to lean back, open the chest a bit, so we're really feeling the stretch in the quadricep. more deep breaths. So then we're repeating different versions of the same stretch. It challenges the muscle in just slightly different ways, and you learn a little bit more postural intelligence, I would say. Step in, maybe moving the block under the shoulder, pyramid pose. So I'm going to inhale, arms up, so my hips are straight, my back is straight, and then exhale forward, chin toward the big toe. So I'm not hanging out at all, right? Everything is really working and stretching. It's like you contract the muscles actually to stretch your body. It's exactly what we want to do in every pose, that all of the muscles are active. Few more deep breaths. And exhale, hands to the floor, just step back. And now we're ready to explore our splits. So you can inhale, bring the right foot up. Exhale, step forward. So the half split is what I'm working on here. I have the knee on the floor and my hip is more or less over the knee. And then I'm going to wiggle the foot forward. You can use hands on the blocks or have the hands on the floor. This is more or less the half split. And you want to pay attention here. Right? You could also do this here. It takes a little bit more balance. I would keep the hands on the blocks. Those of you who are moving into the half split are really getting low. So you might be able to edge your back knee. This is totally my max. Here, and whatever you're doing, you're keeping everything strong. Please don't round the spine. Keep everything. I'm gonna bring it back in. Keep those abdominal muscles working the same way they were in the pyramid. So a few more deep breaths. And then switch sides. So we're going to do each side twice, which is how I would recommend practicing splits, not thinking like I'm going to warm up and then do my best split ever. That always tempts you to push a little bit. So you're going to do it twice, thinking of the first one as like a practice round, which it is. And then just exploring the pose, and just seeing, right, if the body's ready to go a bit deeper on the second side, on the second set, great. If not, it doesn't. And there's always tomorrow's practice. So holding here, and here the hips are straight. In the ballet class, they often twist the hips, which you can see by the back knee. So here my knee is on the floor. If I'm twisting from the hips, I'm going to bring the inside of my knee to the floor. So sometimes you can come a bit lower here, but that's not the idea. We want to keep the knee on the floor and the hips straight so that the lower back is also straight. So really a bad idea for your back to twist the hips and then fold forward. So keep everything straight. So the abdominal muscles can work and support your body in this pose. 5 more deep breaths. So switch sides. We're going to do one more on the other side, just to see again how it goes. Now that we're really warm, right? You're feeling front and back of the legs are really warm. So come back to the right side. Inhale the right foot up. Step it forward. Wiggle the front foot. Maybe lift the back leg. And normally you'll feel the second side, you have more space. So wherever you are, use actually start feeling maybe a little bit more stretch. And it's always tempting at that point to think, yeah, I feel more space, I'm just gonna see a little bit more. Don't. Just enjoy the extra space you created today. It will be there again tomorrow. You can't rush perfection. So keep everything straight, front, quadricep working. A few more deep breaths. And pulling it in. So front leg in. Stepping back. Dog. Inhale the left foot up, stepping forward. And again, wiggling, 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 seeing how low you're going to go in the splits. Maybe feeling a little bit more space on the second side. So what you don't really want to do is bend the front knee to get low, because then if you straighten it again, that's when we could pull too much. So keep everything strong as you go into the pose. Moving in the pose is the part you could injure yourself. So the worst thing you could do is collapse and then push. So you came down with everything already engaged in this pose. 5 more deep breaths. Pulling it back in. We'll take the last downward facing dog. Move the block to the side. And then just come onto your back. So we'll just do a little stretch to support the hips, right after we did such a deep stretch. So you can just come onto the back, cross the right leg over the left, and just reach for the feet. So pull the feet in. Now have the back on the floor, right? We were bending forward for a few poses, so it's nice. Just have the back flat. And then just to switch sides, you can let go of the feet, place the feet on the floor, rock the knees side to side. And then the left leg over the right. Catch the feet, pull the feet toward the hip. And this is not really so much a stretch as a compression. So just bringing everything back in and feeling some structure in the body after the deep open, the feeling of the stretch. As you exhale, pull everything in and let the spine be straight and supported on the mat. And then we'll let go and just bring the feet in. If there are any last movements you want to do, maybe you want to pull the knees all the way in. And then find a resting pose, even if it's just for 1 minute. Spreading the body out. Maybe you feel like the legs are a little bit longer. And just shake out the feet so that the feet can relax, whole body can relax. Feel free to stay here as long as you like. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.